All right, brother. We are a few weeks, mind you, so I'm backed up on people asking me, yo, what's going on? I've been busy, man. I've been freaking busy. But we're back. I call this the break room, and I spell it Brake. The reason why I spell it that way is because I feel like we also take some time, stop, pump the brakes, and see where we are in life. So this is the break room. And today I have a very special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, the big Migs, the man. I walked at this man's wedding. What sneakers did we wear? We wore the Converses, right?
The Converses,
The
yeah, the
Converses.
great Converses.
Yo, that's BC, right? And by BC I mean before COVID. That was BC, right?
That was 2017, bro. I've been married for almost 8 years, bro.
Yo,
That's
time is
crazy.
flying.
Yeah,
I didn't realize you got married under the Trump regime.
yeah, yeah. Don't remind me. But I did have my son under Biden, so that was good. But
Yo,
now I
yeah,
gotta wait another 4 years before I have another child.
yeah. You got to switch every 4 years. You got to switch a life event. It's hilarious. Man, that was
What do you ever do
BC.
with those Converse, by the way, bro? I'm curious.
Good questions. For people who don't know, back in 2017, my boy Miguel, this is Miguel, everybody, um, when he got married, that was around Thanksgiving, right? I
It was
remember.
the day before Thanksgiving.
Right. So Thanksgiving Eve 2017. Shout out to the ambulance in the back. But Thanksgiving Eve 2017, remember you had us wear Converses as the footwear for your wedding. I remember that suit. That suit was fire. The tux. But I had it for a long time. Maybe at least 3, 4, 5 years I had it. Maybe when I moved out of Dykeman is where I lost them. Maybe I donated them. I don't recall. I know I don't see him now. I don't see him now. And let me tell you something. I'm a renowned hoarder as far as like clothing.
Yeah,
Like
but did you wear them again for anything?
yeah. No, I supported them for a while.
Good. I'm
No,
glad to hear
no,
that.
no. They had to run. No, they had to run. In fact, it would try. I remember going back now 8 years. Jesus, I remember having to think of certain jeans and just clothing to match up with it because I remember it was a big thing to me. Like I ain't wasting these. Not just for just a wedding. That's it. I'm a sport them and I'm gonna find stuff for them. So I remember they were important to me, and I grew up admiring Chuck Taylors, Converses,
Mhm.
but I was always scared to purchase them and wear them because I'm like, one, how they look on me, and two, like I'm scared of my ankles. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how dudes in the '70s, like Dr. Keenum, I don't know how they were balling in them.
Yeah, no, for real. If you look at Bill Russell's footwear, bro, like, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, what was that?
it's like Jesus sandals.
It- It's crazy. I pull hammies just looking at that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, men were built differently back then, and they just said fuck it more. I guess not today. People be like,
You know what it is? They didn't make 40, $50 million, $60 million a year, so they didn't have to worry about them. They broke their leg, they broke their leg. They weren't that valuable to them. Now you give a guy a $300 million contract, and you better make sure he's got some good some.
yeah. And mind you, it's not even just the players who are trepidatious about that. Sometimes the teams too. The teams be like, sit him down. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't playing today. I paid that motherfucker $50 million a game. He ain't
It's
playing today.
terrible. It is terrible, bro.
But it's funny. Let me play devil's advocate for a second because you hear this talk, especially around All Star Weekend and basketball and otherwise. The Pro Bowl, forget about it. For years, it's been like that. But that's a violent sport. But let's keep it NBA or basketball. A lot of times you hear like players are not going hard in the All Star game because why play defense? You're gonna hurt your fellow man. You're gonna like hurt somebody, and you're not getting paid for it if the game don't count. But then again, people say the game suffers. You know what I'm saying? In the All Star game and the game in general. So, what's your take on that? Do you feel like players should be more like, "Fuck it, I don't care if I'm getting paid for this or not. Let me just ball out," or do you side with the idea of like, "Yo, man, you got to save your body for real, quote unquote, real games, or the playoffs if you make it playoffs."
Yeah, no, definitely. I think there's a happy medium. I mean, you don't have to be like Stephon Marbury, who was playing at Rucker and diving on the pavement while he was making $15 million with the Knicks. Like, I mean, he was going all out. You don't have to do that. But I mean, I don't think it'll kill you to throw a hand up. Like I don't
Yeah,
think you could. You could play a little defense and still be safe, and you don't have to go out there and take deep charges or anything like that. Like you don't have to go crazy, but I think you could play a little bit more defense than what they're doing. What they do now is just it's hard to watch. I don't watch it, bro. They're such great athletes that it's a shame to watch it because I mean All Stars obviously the top of the league, and it's an offensive league. There's All Star players that are just offensive players and not defensive players, but there's some who are both two-way players, who are great defensive players, and you don't see that,
right,
and
right,
it'd be nice to see, an all-star matchup. It'd be nice to see, I don't know, Kevin Durant go up against Paul George or something like that, and actually like they're playing for something,
right,
but
right,
you don't see that, and I almost feel like just take the game out altogether, make it a one-on-one tournament.
right,
And you
right.
just play it for yourself. You might play a little bit better.
It's funny. What I'm about to say probably does not apply to anything else but basketball because it doesn't really apply to baseball. Because baseball has a farm system that has minor leagues, AAA. So to keep it just basketball, with this next thing I'm going to say is I think there is an underrated and underspoken caveat to the way that people today treat either injuries or load management, quote unquote. I think there's something that's not been spoken about enough. Where I think the kids today, when I say kids, I mean the middle schoolers, the high schoolers. I think they're playing too much basketball. I think this whole AAU system, where like my nephew, he's in seventh grade now, and he's a hooper. He plays all the time. Yo, and he freaking travels with my sister, his mom, to watch Carmelo Anthony's son play. What's his name? Got the kid's name.
Keon,
Yeah, Keon, Kion, whatever his name is.
yeah.
That's how much he's into it. Those games be like today's league, or not even today's league, like the last 15 years, maybe 20 years. It's just straight up all day long games on a Saturday afternoon, back to back to back. You're traveling every weekend, and it's just like nonstop playing basketball all day long at 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. So like I'm not shocked when Jason Tatum is like in his mid 20s blowing out an Achilles. So I'm like, bro, you probably put too much mileage on your ankles a decade ago. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, let's say, a Deion Sanders, who, yes, he was a double sport guy, but different seasons he worked different ligaments, he worked different muscles. You know what I'm saying? What he was doing in September in high school wasn't the same thing was he was doing in May. And you're doing a full body workout all year long instead of stressing your freaking Achilles for like, 12 months a year. And there's like, if you're Michael Jordan in the 70s, playing high school basketball, you're probably just doing that. You know what I mean? Like, you're playing high school
Right.
basketball for your team. I mean, for your school team, not for some AAU licensing. For your school team, you have practice after school. You have a game on Friday Night Lights, and then you go home. Where today it's just like non-stop ball. So I do feel like part of this is like, yo, they should probably pull back as far as playing as much, you know what I'm saying? And just strip it down to like your high school, your conference, where you're from, locally, keep it local. That's it. No more traveling around the country at 18 years old, 17 years old to freaking hoop all day long.
I mean, I think it's different from different people. I mean, there's super athletes. You mentioned Deion Sanders, obviously great athlete, but I mean, he knew how to take care of himself too. You ever watch him tackle, bro? Like this dude was not going all in on the tackle, bro. I once witnessed this dude. There was a running back going in the end zone. It was like a goal line play, and it was just him and the running back. And this dude literally two hand touched him on the back and didn't and got out of his way to the end zone. And I'm like, this dude just played two hand touch with the freaking running back. I mean, it was definitely a business move right there. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Deion Sanders because he's a great player. He took care of himself in that regard. Are the kids playing too much? I don't know. I mean, I know we want to keep it on basketball. I know for like baseball, the pitchers, the kids that are pitchers and having crazy surgeries on their arms, they're doing too much for sure.
Yeah, I heard that too.
They're doing too much, and the college is the worst. Like if I was a general manager of a baseball team, I would never draft a player, a pitcher out of college, because in college, they don't care. Bro, they'll have you throw 150, 160 pitches. You don't do
Yeah,
that in the pros, and they don't care. They don't care what happens to you once you're done out of that college. And a lot of those college pitchers, they get injuries. Jacob DeGrom, college pitcher. I'll give you another name that's gonna hurt you, Matt Harvey.
I knew it was coming. I was like, Matt.
So like
He blew up after
those guys do too
2015.
much. But back to basketball. Are they doing too much? I don't know. It's hard to say. It depends on what, I guess, what they're doing outside of that. Yeah, I mean, because there's training that goes that's involved. There's a lot of pressure to keep yourself in the absolute pristine condition. And obviously that's what you want, but at the same time, I think you can strain your body out. What age you're supposed to be doing that? How, like, again, you got weight programs. How young should you be on a weight program? Right now, I got my nephew, he's 16. This dude is deadlifting 475 pounds at the
Crazy.
gym. I went to the gym with him a couple weeks ago. This guy's asking, because I'm talking about the form of the deadlifts or whatever. He's like, oh, how do you do your deadlifts? I'm like, on my couch with a remote control, bro. Like, I'm not doing it like this. So, but he's 16. Is that good for his body? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But like, this kid is passionate about that. So again, you don't want to take away that passion, right? I know when I was a young buck, I was, I was not doing what these guys are doing that are obviously professional athletes, but I was playing a lot of basketball every day, all day, whatever. And injury didn't really seem like a thing for me. It was just like, who gets injured? Those soft guys get injured. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not a thing. I wasn't worried about it, and at least as a young man, and again, I wasn't playing on their level. I didn't experience that, so I don't know. Everything you do to your body, I guess, catches up to you. So is that to consider? But I mean, there's got to be some consideration from coaching. Everybody's out to get what they want to get, right? I mean, we're gonna round this out to our boy Thibodeau, right? He played guys until they ran him into the ground, right?
Tell me about it.
He had an agenda of what he was trying to do with his team, but he wasn't taking a lot of consideration of what he was putting these guys through. And they want to do it, and I understand. Like, you're a ball player, you're a warrior, you should be out there all the time, and you should take as much minutes as they're willing to give you. But you have to understand that after a while, there's a wear on the body. What age you should be watching that? I don't know. Maybe at every age. I really don't know. But you also have to play a lot of basketball to get good at basketball, right? So
That's true. That's true.
So it's a little tough question to ask. But yeah, this load management stuff, it's really ugly, and I don't understand how it's not affecting the game more. I think it will in the future, but I like, take it from me. I'm, whatever you want to say, middle class person, had reasonable means to go out and enjoy a basketball game. Last year, I haven't gone to a Knicks game in like 3 years. When I went, it was a friend who took me, right? And they got blown out by Cleveland, right? So, I wanted to go to a Knicks game last year. It was around my birthday in January, and I saw the Knicks are playing Milwaukee, and I'm like, oh, Giannis, great player, I want to watch. I would love to go to that game. Looked it up. After taxes and everything, it was gonna cost me like $5 to $6, something like five something. That's before I pay the money to get down there and get anything to eat or drink or anything, or park or whatever I do. And anyway, I was like, I could swing it. I could swing that. I won't get another gift from I'll tell my wife, don't give me another gift. Just give me that, whatever. I could swing it. And last minute, I decided not to do it. And you know why I decided not to do it? Because the thought came to mind that Giannis may not play. He might take the day off for whatever reason. And that would, after paying $600, would piss me off, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm not going. It just so happened Giannis did play, and the Knicks won. They blew him out with Giannis on the court, which I would have loved to see. So I missed out, but I can't imagine how how other people do it. I mean, I saw a story that a kid came from, I think, Greece or Europe somewhere to watch Giannis play, and he took the day off. Yeah. And he found out about it. He flew his whole family back to watch him another game, which is nice, it's great. But how many times that happens and it doesn't get back to him?
Yeah. Yeah, a few things for that particular we just said we left with. I heard about that time. I heard about that this season with Jimmy Butler. I guess somebody from Australia came out or something like that, and Jimmy didn't. Jimmy didn't play, but he took care of him. I think it was either Jimmy or Steph Curry, one of them. I think it was Steph actually.
I feel like that's not a Jimmy thing to do.
Yeah, yeah.
This is my opinion.
Jimmy's like, what?
It seems like more of a Steph thing, but I don't
Jimmy's
know. I didn't
like,
see the story. I'm just speculating.
I think it was Steph actually. But something like that happened with Jimmy too. Quote me on that. What you're the fear you elocuted the fear that is definitely going on with other teams more often. The thing about New York City is for some reason, well, I know the reason. People want to come to New York. People will be injured in other cities, injured, but once they know, oh, word, 34th Street, we're going to the Garden next. I'm back. Usually people play against the Knicks. They come back to the Knicks because they don't want to pass up playing at the Garden or playing against the Knicks for whatever reason. People love to play against the Knicks, so you can feel a little safe if you're nervous about paying for a ticket because usually the stars come out and play against the Knicks usually. But I
Yeah, I
understand
mean that's a fair point, but like
the
I said,
principle you're saying. The principle is accurate. The principle of it all. You're right.
for a man like me who loves the game of basketball, who's lived in New York his whole life, who has reasonable means, I went to three Knicks games in my life. One was a couple years ago with someone getting me the ticket. It was like late in the season, and I forget how long ago it was. The second one, the first one I remember well was in '99. It was Toronto Raptors first round, '99 or '98, '99. I'm pretty sure. Vince Carter, Vinsanity was going big at
Wow.
that time. And I was there and I watched Latrell Sprewell shut him down. He
Good.
shut him down.
Good.
And they won pretty big by like 14, 15 points. But that was and my father got the ticket. He was selling cars and he got a ticket as a tip to some
Awesome.
guy he sold the
Awesome.
car to. So it was cool. I saw something that you said about how you fell in love with the team when you were a
I
kid.
don't remember.
You,
I
you
don't, I
you were
don't,
saying I fell in love with this team when I was a kid, and I've been a Knicks fan ever since.
I don't even
And
remember.
you were criticizing people like me. I'm gonna admit I'm one of them who like was fair weather fans who were not watching them when they were that bad.
Before I answer that, because I'm trying to remember what I said.
I put you on the spot.
Sidebar. Sidebar. Me and you went to the Garden not for a Knicks game. We went to see Triple G fight. I don't know if you remember that
Yeah,
that fight.
yeah, yeah.
And Chocolate Tito was on the undercard. A while ago. That's probably like 2012. I don't remember what that fight was.
I remember, and then
And
we went to Hooters afterwards. But it's
shout
another thing.
out to rest in peace, Hooters. Hooters is gone in Paramus. Hooters is gone on 34th Street. Hooters is dying. Actually, I think Hooters as a company is done.
I went to one near Albany. I was in Albany, and I was thinking of a place to go eat. I was walking down the street to my car, and I saw a guy with a Hooters shirt. So I googled, oh, there's a Hooters around here. It wasn't even that close. It was like probably 20 minutes away. I still went.
So just for the culture.
Yeah.
One more thing before we continue with your question. Listen, man, you said Matt Harvey's name, and that triggered me because game one, what was your feeling like? Game one, 2015 World Series, and Matt Harvey was just laying eggs, or he couldn't get it done. Like I was just like, what the
Yeah, it's tough.
before you answer, the reason why I bring this up because you brought up Matt Harvey. I was hot last season as a Mets fan. We're rocking and rolling. We're having a good season. For some, I don't know what month it was, but I saw Matt Harvey. I think it was probably the playoffs, and Matt Harvey was like, "Yeah," like he was. I guess he came around to do like some PR or do like a little marketing for the Mets. I'm looking on the TV screen like, can't fuck with this guy. I can't even enjoy him rooting for the Mets during this glorious time. I can't enjoy it because I'm so pissed at him.
So listen, I don't actually have any hard feelings towards him. It is what it is. I know the ending of his Mets career didn't end so well. It wasn't so pretty, and the biggest spot he was in was that game one where he blew it, at the end, right?
And blow it.
It's a manager decision, and honestly, either way, I can't. It's hard. It's hard to. The guy was blowing through hitters up to that point, man. Like the guy was blowing through hitters up to that point, and he just hit a wall. It's hard sometimes to judge that. Like you had a few years ago, you had a Tampa Bay. It was in the World Series when Tampa Bay made the World Series last.
Yeah.
Can't remember, but they had their star pitcher on the mound. This dude is breezing through like 6 innings, 7 innings, and he only had like 80 pitches. They took him out of the game, and then they blew
I
the
remember.
lead.
Yeah, they blew the
I,
lead.
I don't even remember what game that was or anything,
That
but
too, but yeah.
I just remember that this dude was cruising. They took him out for no reason. But then again, is what you do what you did to get there, right? So that's stuff that they were doing all year long. So they did it what they've been doing all year long. And more times than not, they would be right. But in that instance, they were wrong. And not necessarily wrong, but you didn't get the desired effect. Because sometimes feel like you can make the right decision and you get the wrong result.
I agree. I agree. Well said. But I'm sorry, you said his name and it just triggered me like fucking mad. I can't. I still haven't healed from him pissing me off. That's in
Well,
that series.
it
But
could have been worse. He could have been going to the Knicks game
I know, I know,
this last series.
I know. You got even more bad juju. But yeah, back to your question. I don't recall or remember where I said that. And I know recently had like a little rant about Tibbs, but I don't recall where I said that. But here's
This
what
was, I think, this was after they I think maybe they beat Detroit. It was
Detroit or the
or
Celtics.
Boston. It was one of the two. It was after a series that they had won, and you were talking about fans that were not part of the losing seasons, and that you watched them through thick and thin and all that stuff, which I respect. I respect that, Mike. But I have something to say about it.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay.
I probably wanted to say more because there is one more to that sentiment, but go ahead.
Right. As a Mets fan who've been through a lot and watched it all, okay, I could go through a lot.
Which the way you said that, I can hear the stress.
Yeah, exactly. I felt something there. So let me tell you, I've been through a lot. Trust me. And we just established I'm married 8 years, so I've been through a lot, bro. I got battle scars. I'm tested. So here's the deal. Yeah, you can, in my opinion, as a fan, I stopped watching the Knicks. Okay, at some point. I
Right.
did stop watching the Knicks. I admit. It's simple, bro. What they were doing was not correct in any aspect of
Yeah, yeah.
anything. And if you go and watch the documentary on the Knicks over the last 20 years, they didn't have a GM for like a couple years, man. What
Yeah,
were they
yeah.
doing? What they were doing, insane. Eddie Curry trades, insane.
Yeah.
Signing Steve Francis, Stephon Marbury, all those things, those insane things that were going on with the franchise, Isaiah Thomas, all the things that were going on with the franchise. So yes, as a kid you fall in love, but just like as an adult, when you fall in love, you can fall out of love, and it should be welcome when it's an abusive relationship. And it was a damn bad abusive relationship until Leon Rose walked in and was given the authority to run this team. And he has done a really good job overall. There's a couple things I did not like, but
Same here. Same
overall,
here.
and getting Thibodeau was one of those, because when Thibodeau was in Chicago, I was like, okay, Cleveland has LeBron James, right?
Right, right.
And Miami. I think even one year when he was in Miami with Wade and Bosh, Chicago Bulls, after losing Derrick Rose, was the number one seed. Like, how's that possible? Like, this guy can coach. How did the Knicks not get a coach like this? How can it? So he bounced around, he goes to Minnesota. Finally, he comes to the Knicks, and like, wow, they have a legitimate coach, and the guy can coach, and he's won. Now you can question whether is he the guy to turn around the culture and then can't really win you a championship. Is he that guy? He could be, but definitely the guy won, and you get rid of him. My whole thing is like, do you have a plan? Shouldn't there have been a plan if you're gonna get rid of your guy?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you have had a plan? And I don't see like viable options there. Talking about Jason Kidd, and what, you're gonna give out a first round pick for? Are you insane? For Jason Kidd?
Not for kids.
Not for anybody. Is there anybody in the league you're gonna give a first round, any head coach?
I wouldn't feel comfortable giving out any assets for a coach in general. I don't care if it's God himself. I would. But there are maybe like one or two people that I'd be satisfied with. One guy in particular I'd be more than satisfied with. So I'll get to that let me address. You said something very eloquent about falling out of love. So I want to address that. But before I address that, let me add more oomph to my original sentiment that you referenced. I was it. I didn't articulate myself well, and what I mean by that is I was really speaking to. There's a sector of New York sports fans who weren't just critical about the Knicks over the bad years, but they they would like drive and just like they would nitpick at stupid things and not acknowledge good being done and were very not just late to the party. It's one thing to be you, Miguel, where it's to be critical and be like, you know what, I can't do this right now. I cannot devote the next 5 years of my life to
I can,
that's on fire.
bro. I
That's
can do it, bro. But the way they were doing it, like there was no light at the end of the tunnel.
first of all, to be a Knicks fan in like '08, in like '06, and like there was like dark years, damn near dark decades, where to be a Knicks fan, mind you, I wasn't going to those games in person. You're damn near a sadomasochist. You like, or you like self pain. You know what I'm saying? It was dark years of like 15 win seasons, 17 wins to hurt myself. You know what I mean? Like if you ever watched that movie with Tom Hanks, Angels and not Angels and Demons. What's the Da Vinci Code? Remember
Yeah,
the villain in that movie? He
yeah,
wears like this chalice on his leg
yeah, yeah.
to simulate how Jesus felt pain. That was
Right.
Knicks fan for like a decade. So I understand. I don't begrudge anybody who says, no, 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 I can't do it myself. They're too incompetent. I want my peace. But there are some people out there who were like, there's a special type of bandwagoner and a special type of like they'll go extremely 100% negative and then extremely 100% positive and like a blip. And those are the ones I'm really talking about. They don't even ease into like analysis, criticism, and enjoyment. They go 180 ASAP. Those are the guys and gals I'm talking to in particular. Not really you because you're fair as far as a basketball fan more than Knicks. You can articulate to me why you don't even respect it as a basketball fan. A lot of people I'm talking to, they're not even basketball fans. They're not even basketball fans. They're just fair weather team fans or nowadays just player fans. And they don't even care about the craft of basketball. They can't even articulate with you why they're critiquing Knicks. They're just telling you what they've heard from talking heads on Frank Isola driving home or for whatever. You know what I'm saying? And those are the people I'm really talking to. Now it's funny you said falling out of love. I felt that way about a few things in my life growing up. You know, in the late '80s to early '90s, I was a wrestling fan. Obviously, it's predetermined. I was a wrestling fanatic. My grandmother took me to the Garden. I saw Bret Hart, perform live. Then around like 95, 96, it got very weird wrestling. I was like, this is weird. This is freaking weird. It's a dry spell. I'm out. I'm out. And then once the Attitude Era came in, I was like, oh, I'm back. Titties and ass.
Yeah, yeah.
Like high school. So there's that. Boxing is a sport that like this is the longest stretch in my life and adulthood that I've been trying and consistent with boxing. There was a time in my childhood I was in boxing. Then, like middle schoolish, like 98, 99, I kind of fell off. I was like, all right, this is getting crazy. And then, like, maybe like mid 2000s, I'm like, all right, I'll be back a little bit. Then I found love. And then by like '08, '07, I've been back since. And I'm so surprised that I'm back because boxing has no favors to your heart and to your entertainment. You know what I'm saying? It can drive you crazy. I have no hair for a reason. So when it comes to the Knicks, I definitely understand where you're coming from, and I like your analogy about you fall out of love because man, I just listened to this YouTube clip of Bill Burr, and Bill Burr was speaking about Casino, Rob De Niro, Aaron Stone, Martin Scorsese, and he was talking about how like he was like, yo, every man can identify on some level with De Niro's character of like, you have this girl in your life. She's no fucking good for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, she just takes and takes and takes. She tries to break down your self-esteem. You try to, you make concessions for her. You look the other way at times when she's fucking up. and you just try to say, all right, she'll come through for me, like she'll be there for me one day, and then she just fucks you over like time and time again. And as a Knicks fan, it can be like that. Like Knicks can be ginger all day long, so I get it.
The way I feel about it is I'll go to another De Niro movie, A Bronx Tale.
Bronx Tale. How
Yeah,
so?
Mickey Mantle will never pay my rent. and, and that's my feeling. Like, listen, what do they care about me? Nothing. Why should I be caring about them? And
Yeah,
that's the feeling. But this Knicks team and a lot of their players, including Jalen Brunson, who took less
definitely.
money to be here and do this, I have a little bit more respect for.
Right, right.
So um, and I believe in this group. I think they need to make a little small changes. I
Right.
feel like Bridges or Ananobi, probably Ananobi, needs to go
Yeah.
just because he makes the big money and
Right.
he's the value for what he gives to what he makes
Ain't enough.
is not there. He's
It's
a
not enough.
valuable player, don't get me wrong, but he's
Right.
not a 40+ million dollar player.
5 years, $212 million.
That's it's just too much for him. So to me, he's the guy that was like, and they signed this guy before he became a free agent. Like somebody else is gonna give him that money. Like
Right.
it's that was a little crazy for me. And him and Bridges together, I didn't see how that was gonna work. And I was like, how are they gonna? I guess they're gonna bring Bridges off the bench. Which never happened also, and Bridges is just not really the offensive player you would like him to be. Um, so
Doing
like
fadeaway
so they have to
layups.
make a little bit of changes. What I saw at there's a couple of positive things to take from their last series against the Pacers. One is that Cat got aggressive. He stopped settling for threes. He took the ball to the basket. I was saying all season long and the beginning of these playoffs, somebody get on his fiance's Instagram, DM her, whatever you gotta do. I don't have any social media, Mike. You know that.
Yeah, I know you don't. Good man, by the way.
Somebody talk to this woman to talk to this man and tell him that there's no reason why Derek White on the Boston Celtics can be guarding you, okay?
Right, right.
There's no reason for
No
that.
reason. No.
That should never happen in life.
No, he should be a Mighty Mouse.
They allowed it to happen at times, and it was very frustrating. But he got much more aggressive, and I hope he takes that into next season.
Right.
And this last series against the Pacers, Jalen Brunson did not have a good series. He had a couple good games, decent games, but for the most part, he didn't have a good series. And he has flaws, and the Pacers exploited that a little bit. With basically their full court defense,
Yeah.
for them to put that full court defense on, and they did it last year. But last year the Knicks had less personnel,
Right.
so you understand how that happened. But this year they should not be able to play full court defense like that and not get burned. And they kept doing it, and because they were not burning them. In that game 6, there was one specific play where they inbound the ball. I think it was Hart who was inbounding the ball. It was a full court press. They inbounded it to Bridges. Bridges' defender went for the steal and missed. Okay? Bridges is now past his defender.
Right.
And instead of pushing the ball down the court, which they have the advantage because his defender is now past,
Right.
he gave the ball back to Hart.
Yeah, I don't get it.
If they're playing you like that, you have to beat them. You have to burn them down the other side of the court. Otherwise, they'll continue to do that.
Make a
You have to make them pay. I don't understand that. I don't understand the philosophy there. I understand why they can do it against Brunson. Brunson's not a speed burner. He's not fast. So they can do that and get away with it somewhat, but you guys got to beat them. Everybody
right.
else should be beating them. Bridges should be beating them. Deuce McBride should be beating them down the court.
Right.
And I think that's why, because of some of that full court press and other reasons also, defensively, sometimes when Brunson was off the court, they looked like they were better at times. That first game, that 14-0 run, was when Brunson was on the bench. And I would argue not even bring him in the game when they brought him in the game.
There was in the regular season, midwinter, I don't know, or whatever month that was. There was a good few games where Brunson was out, and OG was lighting up the scoreboard when he was out, and they were having good stretches. They were winning too. I'm thinking like, okay, Brunson's out, we're gonna lose a couple games. They were winning. I'm like, oh shit. So it kind of showed that for what you just said, it showed that I read it somewhere. I forgot where I read it, but in the playoffs, I think the Knicks were last in assists of all the teams in the playoffs. And it shows because as great as Brunson is, he's also a ball stopper, and he holds the ball too long. I don't know. I know what to make of that. He's probably a two guard really at heart, and not a point guard. Because say what you want about the Pacers, but usually they're whipping that ball around. Just pass it around, pass it around. People are cutting, they're making moves. And I thought you guys were Villanova chemistry best friends, where you guys should know each other's spots and can communicate without communicating about where to be. So it's like, what are you doing allowing Brunson to just hold the ball for too long and not make moves? So I'm with you on that. I would say this though. You brought up Tibbs first. First of all, sidebar. This is a pet peeve I had. Everybody and their mother the Jamel Hills, everybody, them people all across the freaking planet who don't even care about New York as a city, as a state, or the Knicks, they have an opinion about this so bad. Everybody expressing their opinion about Tibbs being let go. So let me give you my opinion on that and my opinion in general about Tibbs. Person you need to set the table and to start dinner. If it's Thanksgiving, and your aunts and uncles and your moms, whatever, it's like the kitchen's like already on in the stove and shit, and nobody's cooking yet. It's like, hey, you need someone to set the tone. Someone start cooking. Like, let's get it going. You need that on and on. But I got it. All right, where's this? Where's that? Where's that? All right, I'm good. Get this in my sleeves. All right. You need someone to set the tone and the culture of the kitchen and of the room for the day of what's going on. But once Big Mama comes in the house, it's like, all right, guys, I'm taking over now. I'm gonna really close the show. Back up. Y'all can leave now. It's my kitchen. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna really close the show. And, he ain't Big Mama. He can set the tone. He can start a culture. He can institute a new culture, especially with young guys who have less ego. But I don't feel comfortable with him leading a seasoned team to a quote unquote championship or conference finals. He's done it. He went to the conference finals with Chicago, I think, once or twice. But
But
you know,
who is Big Mama though? Where's Big Mama coming from?
good,
Because I'm not seeing, I don't see Big Mama out there.
great,
Really, be honest with you.
great question. Before I answer that, great question. Let me just add on to the tips thing. Great question, because that's a valid question. Also, man, it shouldn't take you till May to figure out you have guys like DeLon Wright and Shaman on the bench who can defend. Because we shouldn't find out in the Boston series like, oh, or in the last series Pacers, these guys can defend. They can defend well. Let me play them 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, you had these people all year on the bench. There's games in December and February and January. I'm like, yo, we're up by 20 some points. Get Brunson out the game. It's 2 minutes left. What the fuck are you doing? Um, I'm a big proponent of last year's team. But Randall, remember they were up by like 20 against the Miami Heat in January in the fourth quarter late when Randall got hurt. And also the mindset of that team. Say what you want about Randall. It's a lot to say, but that team was a finals contender. There was one.
I believe that. And Julius Randle, I am a fan of Julius Randle, bro. I don't give him the heat that other people give him, and this is why. Again, we'll go to value. How much does this guy make? What is he
Right,
producing?
value,
Right?
right,
So he's
right.
not making $40 million a year. He's making $25 million a year or 30 or whatever it is, and he's producing quite a bit. And yeah, if you expect a guy to be a top five player, he's not that. He's not.
Not
He's
that,
never gonna be that.
but for
But
his value,
he's a darn good ball player with good value and wanted to be part of the city, part of the team.
yeah,
I mean, I was really excited to see how this team was gonna be if he had not got if they all the injuries, not just him, but all the injuries came
yeah.
out. If they were full strength playing Boston in the conference finals last year. I mean, I don't even count the Pacers because they would have ran over the
Yeah, they
Pacers
were
if they were
they
full
would have ran
strength
over
last
him.
year. But if they were full strength, would they have been able to beat Boston? Probably, I would have to say, if I'm being honest, probably not. Boston was probably still a better team overall, but I think they would have given him a good run.
If I only gave him a good run, remember like there was that this stretch in January where they were like winning 11, 12 games in a row. Fucking Randall was just passing the ball around. I was like, shit, he must be happy. So I'm seeing them make extra passes and shit. So they had a good. They looked deadly, but shit happens. Spilled milk can't cry over it. But back to your point about Tibbs and who's left. There's what's his name? There's what's his name?
Exactly. There's no Big Mama because you can't even tell me the person's name, bro.
I know his name, but he's controversial because he had to leave Boston because of a sex scandal. Now he's in Houston. He had that Houston team in shape. He
Right, but
made
he's in Houston, right? He has a
right, right,
job.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. No. What you're saying is accurate. To the whole kid point, I'm not trying to give up a pick for a coach who's out there right now. No one really. No one really. I like the guy Johnny Bryant for the Cavs. He was with the Knicks for like 3-4 years prior, the last 3-4 years, and he left this year to go be a Cavs assistant. The reason why he's a name out there because for years he was with Utah under Quinn Snyder and he has a very special relationship with Donovan Mitchell since the Utah days. And he's always heralded as he's a great assistant, but I don't mean he'd be a good pro, a good head coach. So
Right, it's untested.
it's
It's
untested.
untested.
So to your point, yeah, there is no one. So, but man, I guess that just shows rough it was for Tibbs's. What's the word I want to use? For Tibbs's reputation to be fired because I don't buy the idea that the Knicks are being just like 110% rash or 110% like old Nixie. Like, but like I do think there is some like to me, when I heard the news, I said to myself, well, you know what? Either option was justified. If they kept him one more year, that's justifiable. He can justify that. You can say, no, he can get one more year before he's done. But if you let him go, I could say, well, if the rumors are true, where some players were frustrated by his non lineup changes over the last 10 months, or that he just was stubborn in his ways. So, whenever someone gets fired, you start to hear rumors now like, oh, he was arguing with management about playing Mitch more minutes or not playing him more minutes. Or, oh, Josh Hart had to be vocal during the Boston series that he'll go to the bench for tips to try it, et cetera, et cetera. I don't like that either. You say either stick to it or not. Your works. What I would say about Tibbs is he's a stubborn mule that'll get you so far, and it is what it is with him. You live by him, you die by him. But to your point, who else is out there? There.
He's a stubborn mule. I will grant you that. But when push came to shove and it was clear. Now, mind you, I had to slap him in the face that he had to make changes. He did. And I will say this, it probably cost him his job, right? So if he stayed that stubborn mule and he did not make changes and they didn't win 2 out of 3 games after losing the first 2 games, they would have been like, well, whatever, they lost, and but they wouldn't have known. Well, wait a minute, we could have done these changes a long time ago. We could have played these guys a few minutes in game one and not lost that game. We could have. There's a lot we could have done, and I think that's what ultimately cost him his job because he made those changes and they were effective. If they were not effective or he didn't make them, he probably still have a job right now.
To play devil's advocate for Tibbs, it'll help that you give 5 first-round picks from Mikel,
Too much. Too much. Another
and
again value, bro. Value.
you know
That's too much.
get 5 first-round picks for a guy who's not defending not nearly as he was for the Nets, not scoring like he was for the Nets. Seems a little comfortable with his friends. That'll help. And roster construction is not Tibbs' job. So after that, he can only work with what he works with. He can only trust what he has. I still think he could have trusted Shannon and Delon Wright more. But I will say this though. Damn, I lost it. I was gonna say something else about Tibbs, but man, listen. Regardless, I'm amused by the public outcry for him by people who are not Knicks fans. You know what I'm saying? Who are more so. I saw something earlier. I think it was a tweet. I don't know. But they were like saying, journalists all year were like, oh my God, Knicks, you play players too much. Uh, oh my God, Tips, it's the 2000s, it's not the 90s. Well, it's the really 2020s. It's the future, not the 90s. Change up your scheme, change up how you run offenses. Oh my God, you're outdated. And what's it? He's fired. How could you do this? How could you fire him? It's like you're dead if you do, dead if you don't. Um, I don't. I want to say this close to the microphone. Unpopular opinion. I don't care that Leon Rose doesn't speak to media. I know it's a thing. I know it's a thing. I know it's a thing that people are saying, like, you got to answer for this. Talk to the media. Get on the presser and let me know. I think that's media who wants clicks or they want sound bites because it's their job to get those. And I respect that. I respect journalism. But as a fan, I don't give a flying fuck if you guys come outside and tell me the mistakes you made. Go the fuck back in the office and fix those mistakes. The more time you're talking to me on the microphone, the less time you're in there doing your job. Who gives a fuck about a circus? I don't need a circus. You know what I'm saying? I don't care for a circus. Like it's not for me. So I know there's this whole thing about we need more accountability in the media. We don't. Who's honest in the media? You guys elected Trump. Can you knock it off?
Accountability in the media may be a thing, but I don't think it's a thing for this.
I'll know you fucked up once you make the right choices in July or in August when you shake things up. Like, okay, they recognize they. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I don't know, man. I don't know. Listen, I do think. Oh, I know what I want to say to you. I think whether it's Tibbs, whether it's maybe Leon Rose, I think people are falling on the sword for Brunson. What I mean by that is, Brunson, you have some accountability here because there's no reason why for this series when Miles Turner guarding Cat, Game 5 showed you that as you mentioned. There's no reason why you should have been. You couldn't be like, you know what? This ain't my series. Cat, it's on you, baby. Post up, or Cat, it's on you. You take the ball. Like that should have been Cat's series all series long. Like you got the muscle, you're 7 foot tall. Turner can't stop you. Game 5 showed you that. Like you mentioned, Miguel, he didn't need to score the threes. You know what I'm saying when he was doing his thing, just get in the paint and get busy. But I do think that Cat was being a little humble about not demanding the ball enough from JB because I do think JB, right or wrong, he has so much pull in that office and in that franchise, Brunson as the captain, that who's going to question him? You know what I'm saying?
I understand, yeah, and because he had pull, I assume he was okay with this change. But my other issue is that his father is on the coaching staff. So
Case in point. Case in
is there
point.
some kind of understanding that the next coach has to hire his dad? Now his dad is qualified, don't get me wrong, but head coaches should be able to pick their own people,
I
right?
agree.
So
I
now
agree.
if he can't do that, then we're already starting on a bad foot.
Yeah, we're already starting compromised. Yeah, where's the accountability and where is the honesty? I'll let you saying, hey, I'm JB. I took less money, but I got my babysitter here with me. That's the trade off. Or I'm JB. I took less money, but you're getting my boy Mikel. Getting Mikel. How many picks it takes? You know what I mean? And I could see that happening. I don't know if I fault him for that in a way because they say if you got it, you got it. If business, if they give you leverage, you take the leverage. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. But at the same time, Jalen Brunson seems like a humble guy. Seems like a guy that you should want to be your leader of a team because it ain't gonna be Trey Young. It ain't gonna be John Morant. So on that end, he can conduct himself well. But behind closed doors, maybe he's just like the rest of us. Like I'm taking my leverage. And fuck you. You know what I'm saying?
And he has the right more than anyone to do that because he took less money, because he came here when others didn't, and because he helped with the turnaround. I say help. He didn't just do it himself.
Yeah,
Actually, it's our boy Julius Randle
Randall, absolutely.
who is the one that did it first,
Unsung
and
hero. Unsung hero.
the one that started this turnaround.
Could you give up 200 and what was it like? He gave like $113 million.
Now, he's no fool either. I don't know if you know this, Mike, but I don't know what year. I think it's in 2 years that their deal is up, the NBA's deal, and they're gonna have a bigger contract. So contracts are gonna get even bigger.
Yeah.
So he took less now, but I think he might took less now for a shorter time to understand that he's
Hurry
gonna
up.
get a bigger contract in like 2 years. But you're taking a risk because obviously you tear up your knee and all that's done.
Fucked, yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at Isaiah Thomas, Boston Celtics version. It's crazy. Well, listen, man. I grieved. You would call me some nights, and I was like, either I was sleeping or I wanted to sleep the pain away, or I just was
You
so
were ducking
frustrated.
me since that game one, bro. I called you immediately. First person I called was you, and you did not pick up that phone. And you can't tell me you were sleeping. There's no, I'm not buying that you were sleeping.
Sidebar, before we continue. Speaking of calling me, one of the all-time classic Miguel phone calls of my life is a Sopranos episode with Vito. You remember Vito was at a gay bar.
Talking about falling out of love of things.
Yo, I'll never forget that night. I'm watching The Sopranos, and I guess it's a storyline where Vito is Spanish for it's at a gay club with like a leather outfit on, twirling, and I see you. I see you calling me, and when I pick up the phone, all I hear is, "What the fuck's going on? What the fuck is going on?"
You know, it's crazy because years later, it's maturity. Because years later, I watched that season, didn't bother me at all. But
No,
that's also the exposure, right? So that's years of watching this stuff on TV, and now it's like it's nothing.
I mean, I got it then. I understood, like, you know, I understood it, like, all right, the dude's gay, whatever, that's interesting. But just the fact that just the fact that they threw me off a little bit, like, I don't remember how many breadcrumbs they used to set up that scene. I don't recall how well they did it, if they did it well writing wise. Um, but I just remember that scene was just like, okay, so they're going for it. He's gay dude. And just to see your phone call on the call like this, and it's got to be not
I don't
Sopranos.
think it was the scene when he was at the bar, because I think I would have been all right with that. I think it was when they were in the park together or something like that. That's when it just was a step too far for me. And I was just like, I'm gonna watch The Wire.
I'll never forget that phone call. I was like, this is amazing. This is hilarious. You were like, oh, no. And you have to wonder from a writing standpoint, like, no, really, what is going on? Like, what's this guy, David Chase? What's he going through right now? Like, why is he injecting this at this
Listen,
time?
speaking of that show, when that show ended, you called me immediately and told me your your TV was messed up.
Yeah, I remember. I remember
I
all
guess to understand what happened at the end. And I said, Mike, your TV not messed up. It went black, and I think it meant this meant to happen. This is the ending of the show. And then sure enough, as we're talking, the credits come up and we realize that the TV didn't mess up. That was it. That was the show.
Yeah. And with talking about the Sopranos, guys. If you haven't watched the Sopranos, you're crazy. Speaking of, so with the Sopranos, as you know, if you watched it, that's how they ended the series with just the screen went black at the diner that they were at. And yeah, there's a scene earlier that season at the lake house where Bobby Bacala, he's saying, like, either him or Tony are saying, I think when you go, things just go black or whatever.
Yeah, they say you don't feel it when it happens.
You
You
don't feel it when
just
it happens. It just
yeah.
go black. I get it, and I think in the last year or so, David Chase has kind of alluded to the idea that, yeah, it is what it is. Obviously, Tony gets it. But I have to ask you, for the last few years, and even that moment, do you feel like did you feel like Tony got killed, or do you feel it was something else?
Yeah, he absolutely got killed. So if you watch it, if you watch the scene again, everything is through. This is what gives it to you. Everything is through Tony's eyes. So when he's watching the guy at the stool at the
The cut,
bar,
the cuts, yeah,
it's his point of view. When everybody
cowbell.
walks through the door and the bell rings, it's his point of view. It's his point of view, his point of view, his point of view. So then the bell rings again, it's his point of view, but it's all black.
Yes, no, the camera shots it points to the.
Yeah, they were telling you that this is what he's seeing. And then that's it. It was all black.
Mm. Now, I will say this though, people were frustrated initially. 'Cause they're like, "Come on, how can you leave it ambiguous and whatever?"
Now, we should have expected it because some of those season finales were just horrific.
Yeah,
There was one where I think it was Jackie Jr.'s funeral and Uncle Jr.'s singing at the end. Like, what is that? What is that?
Jackie Jr. What an asshole. Um, I was like, Meadow, of course he's no good for you, you idiot. But by the way, one of the most all-time annoying characters of all TV, of all cinema, period, I never could stand AJ. He was fucking annoying from the beginning to the end. He's so heartbroken that his Puerto Rican chick doesn't want him anymore. Of course you don't want your ass anymore, you Jersey turd. Like, what are you doing? But you gonna put a cinder block on your legs in the pool? You know what I was telling her? I'm like, yeah, I'll see you in hell. So he annoyed the hell out of me. He annoyed the hell out of me more than. But yeah, at that moment and the years after, I felt that like, yeah, Tony probably got. But I always felt like, damn, did I want something a little more definitive or no? Like, if you remember on that series when they were going through that last war, that last series, that last season with Phil Leotardo, that was a bit much how Phil got killed. Tire went over his head. Sorry, guys.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, yeah. Spoiler alert. If you haven't been there the last 25 years of life, no, I didn't need nothing gory or gruesome. I didn't even need to see it. Tony's death, maybe, but I just felt like the going black and having to wait a few seconds or whatever. It was a little artsy fartsy to me.
No, it is. It was definitely. It was definitely.
So that didn't bother me. But I was just like, okay, cool. But in the years past, I've appreciated more. I'll say that I've appreciated it more. I've appreciated it more. So yeah, we'll see, we'll see. But but yeah, back from the phone call. That's where we got on a tangent. Yeah, you were hitting me up, and I was like, man, listen, I can't do it. And part of the reason why I couldn't do it some nights with you, or the Knicks, is because the Knicks. I don't know what team does it for you. Maybe the Mets. You said the Knicks are one of few sports teams or hobbies or fandoms, period, that really irk me when they're fucking up. I when they're getting beat legitimately because, hey man, you got beat. You're not as good as
Like
such.
last year.
Yeah, yeah.
Last year was one of the most enjoyable seasons, and they didn't get as far as they got this year, but they played their heart
Flat
out,
out. Yeah,
and they played to the max of
right.
their abilities.
I'm with it. I'm with it. If you do that, I'm with it. I'm all right, cool, salute you. But when you just like, because to your point, you mentioned tips earlier, against the Patriots. For all the lineup flaws that Leon Rose has constructed with the Knicks roster, I still feel like I still feel like Patriots weren't that much better, if better at all. I still feel like Cat was underutilized. So when I'm seeing poor, because Miguel, you played pickup growing up.
There's no doubt, Mike. There is no question. They win game one. You're looking at game seven instead
Yeah.
of them losing in 6 games. You're looking
Yeah.
at game seven in Madison Square Garden where they have every right where they could win. Let's forget about game six for a second where they lost by 17 points. They lost by 17 points, game six, right? But up to that point, before game six, they played 5 games where the Knicks had lost 3 out of 5, right? They had outscored the Pacers, the total of the series, by 6 points, okay? Right. So they lost more games, but they scored more total points than the Pacers up to that point. And they ended up losing in total points by 11 because they lost last game by 17. They played 6 games. That's not even 2 points per game difference. You know what I'm saying? So they're right there with that team. I could even question whether they're a better team. And that, to me, if you're a better team and you lose, that does warrant possibly getting fired. So that, to me, is argument for firing him. My only thing is, if you're going to fire him, a guy who got you here and has won so much, you got to really know what you're doing. And you can't be giving up picks because we don't have a lot of picks left to give. So you can't be giving up picks like that. And Leon Rose, I believe, has done a great job overall. But Mikal Bridges was a high price to pay. Anunoby's a high price to pay for his production.
It's a year because of Kemba. You bet on Kemba a year,
right? But they made great decisions. They got Brunson here. They got Josh Hart. When they traded Josh Hart, I'm like, wait a minute, you gave up a pick and
Cam Reddish.
Yeah, for Josh Hart, like you did that. Is he worth it? Well, we know he was worth it. Absolutely. And that was another thing. And again, I don't want to cry about injuries. Josh Hart had bad knee all season, and that's affected his shooting, and that affected his defense. If you remember 2 years ago, he shut down Donovan Mitchell. He shut him down. Him. And he's not the best defensive player on the team. Anunoby's supposed to be, right? You got Mitchell Robinson on the team, right? So the fact that Josh Hart was a little hobbled really affected them.
Right.
Really
That's
affected them.
true.
And again, why is he playing so much big minutes at the end of the season when he has a bad knee? Sit him out a couple weeks.
I agree. I agree. Um, truth to power. Truth to power. But like I said, man, it's hard for me to even get up to have certain conversations about the Knicks when they have terrible, inexplicable losses because it's like, man, I don't have the bandwidth to even think about the shit. Yo, game one when they lost game one after that game one score wise, it reminded me of the Super Bowl when Brady and the Falcons, Patriots and Falcons. It was like, all right, 28-3 Falcons, game's over, or whatever the score was. I'm like, all right, and then they came back and lost. Um, that's what that reminded me of game one. I was like, yo, man, we had the fucking game in the bag. So when I saw that, I said, all right, that game alone affected my mood for like 2 days.
Bro, I didn't go to sleep till like 1:30 in the morning that night. And I'm calling you half the time. But anyway, you can survive losses like that, especially if it's game one early in the series. Oklahoma City did that, right, against Denver. They blew a big lead and they ended up winning the series. They only won it in 7 games. They were lucky they didn't lose that series. But they did overcome it. So you can overcome it. But there was several factors that Jalen Brunson got into foul trouble, was out of the game. They went on that 14-0 run. So they kicked their behinds when Brunson wasn't even in the game, which going into the series you think that that's probably never going to happen, right? It was a high scoring game, which doesn't favor the Knicks. So you think that's not going to happen. So they were beating the Pacers in their own game. Not only that, there's another thing here also. The rest of the series, no matter what odds the Pacers are facing, they're always going to say, after winning game one, we could win this. We could do this.
Yeah.
Hope will never go away
Right.
because you did it. And it was just a swing of momentum, and the general feeling of the series just went down the toilet if you're a Knicks fan after that. And then, of course, losing game two, no team has come back from being down 2-0 when the first two games are at home.
Yeah. No, that's where it gets them after they blew those 2 games. The best swing of momentum I ever saw in a playoff run was that 07-8 Giants. Like when they were going to like fucking everywhere on the road. Once they beat Green Bay, in that fucking cold ass game where fucking Tom Coughlin's fucking mustache was fucking frozen, I was like, all right, they might do
With
it.
all those missed field goals.
They're all his field goals. Like, because they just kept on the road and just whooping teams,
Well,
whooping teams.
Green Bay and Dallas was both 13-3 at the time, and Green Bay was thought to be the better team, right? Because Green Bay had won uh, the Super Bowl like just a couple years earlier, I think, right?
Yeah,
So they were expected to be the team to pull that out in those conditions was something. And do you know Giants lore here? All those field goals that got missed, right? So when they went to before they went to kick the field goal, Coughlin had to make a decision whether he wanted to kick a field goal. That was a longer kick than easier kicks he had already missed.
I remember.
Do you know that the kicker went out there to kick it without being told that they're kicking the field goal? He made the
Yeah,
decision for
on the
Coughlin.
fly.
So when
He didn't even.
Coughlin was thinking about it, he saw him run out there. So Coughlin just
I
screams, "All right, well he's
remember.
out there, then effing kick it," and he did it,
Oh
and
my
they won the game.
God,
But he wasn't sure he was going to kick that field goal there.
God, awful.
The kicker made the decision for him.
That explains Giants in a nutshell. The last couple of years. Don't even get me started on depression on that end. Real quick. So today at work, I had a young TA, teacher's assistant, or paraprofessional working with me. Born in '01, made me feel real old. Born in '01. You don't even know 9/11. We're talking, and she's like, "Yeah, right now life sucks because I'm making minimum wage at work and my other job, busting tables and taking serving customers, restaurant, whatever. I'm making 16.50 an hour." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, so immediately my old mind went back to like 5 years ago, working at Modell's when I was making in '02, making 7.17 an hour. You know what I'm saying? So and then I told them like, "Yo, dude, at Modell's in high school, a year, I think it's 17 an hour to start. And then in like '04, I left it, I graduated '03 high school. But in '04, '03, '04, I went to Expo, a Home Depot company subsidiary. I was like $12 an hour. Hit the jackpot. Let's go. So and they're like, and now that they're like, ooh, and I'm like, oh well, inflation is terrible now. Of course, you're right. But back then, I was like, okay, let's go and let's get this started. Let's do this. So I was telling them about what it was like back then working at the Home Depot and Expo, and honestly, that's relevant to me and you because that's where we met. Can you illustrate for the folks out there, not just retail hell, because I'm sure most people have worked retail hell. If you haven't, you are blessed. But can you explain to people what it was like working at a Home Depot company and all of its intricacies, if you can? Shout out to Home Depot, by the way. We're not here to slant. Well, a little bit, but
What was it like to work for them?
or just in general, what was it like? Well, take you back to back then. What was life like for you back then at that time in general, 20+ years ago?
Listen, for me, my career working anywhere, the biggest takeaways are always the people that you work with. More so than the company or anything else or what they do or whatever is the people, the relationships you get, and it's good and bad, right? And I know you had some bad relationships with some of those people. I remember this one dude who wanted to fight you because you told him I don't know what he did to you that you got annoyed, but you're like, how do you do it? And he's like, how you do what? How do you suck me off with my pants on? And this dude blew up. And this dude wanted to fight you so bad. And I was like, Mike, how do you say that to somebody, bro? And I don't think you knew him that well either. It was like, but he was very like you were like more like a joke, like making fun or whatever, but he took that so seriously and this dude wanted to tear your head off.
Faintly remember that. I faintly remember that.
The fact that you don't remember it well is funny also.
It's probably still on his mind right now. Like if my face on a dark wall. Still, oh well, fuck you, suck me up more.
But yeah, for me, it's the people working for a company like that. Like, come on, they don't value you or anything like that. You have management just coming in, different managers all the time. They're not going to be around that long, so
Yeah, you know that already.
it is what it is. So you're just there with each other, and this is not your end all be all. So it is what it is.
I would say, as far as companies go, maybe not companies, but job sites go. What I did enjoy uh, about being there back then was I thought it was cool. It was a place to like, yeah, I work retail prior, like I said, motels. But I think it was cool to work at a place where, yeah, you got to work retail. It sucks ass, but you also get to learn how to drive a forklift. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. You know what I'm saying? And you get to like just learn different machinery and stuff like that, and you just learn different things about uh homeware and home products and stuff for down the line. Maybe you don't realize in your 20s or early 20s, but you're like, oh, I should know this for like when I buy my own house.
It's true. By the way, sidebar, I got a champion toilet. I have two champion toilets in my house,
There you
and
go.
I use them like a champion, bro.
There you go. And back then, 20 years ago, you had to know the difference between a champion toilet and a Kohler toilet and an American Standard toilet. You back then you were like, yeah, I forgot what the dude's name is. I'll never forget. I'll never forget. I learned the art of bullshitting the customer from this dude. Uh, I remember one time we're working in stock. This is Jersey era, and this dude's like, he's not from in stock, but he's working in stock, or he happened to be in stock.
Yeah, I think it was the next department over. I know exactly who you're talking about. He's an older white guy, right?
No, 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 not an older white guy. I mean, he was older than us, but he was still young.
Oh, okay.
He was still young, and he had a shaved head, like a low season cut white dude. He's saying, Joe was there. Shout out to Joe. He was saying, yeah, man, what you need next is the flux capacitor. With the flux capacitor, you're able to transfer the water from here to there, and I'm like, where do I know that phrase from? Flux capacitor. Where do I know that freaking phrase? What's the customer lead? They're like, yo, bro, what's the flux capacitor? Because you think at that moment, oh shit, I should know this because I'm talking to these customers. I should know these these products and whatever. Bro, what's the flex capacitor? Like flex capacitor? You never see Back to the Future? I'm like, oh my god, it's just like, yo, it's just like, oh my god. So that signified how like, sometimes when you're young working retail, to your point, you're just having fun in the moment. You're just meeting people, you're having a good time, and it's just like
The immaturity.
immaturity. Yeah,
I remember I was working for BJ's Wholesale Club, and I don't know, I was messing with this girl, and we were both like cashiers or whatever. I had a customer go to her apologize for me. It was hilarious. The girl just did it too. She just did it. She's like, "Don't be mad at me, girl. He's a good guy."
BJ's. Yeah. Jesus Christ, we did.
Those because I left the job recently, and I was thinking of grand ways to leave jobs. What about we used to have like mobile walkie-talkies, but you can access the PA system to the whole building.
My
And
God.
didn't somebody put it? They said attention customers and then flush the toilet or something
Yeah, I remember that. Yo, man.
on his
Yo,
last day.
good job. Good times. I remember that. I remember. Yo, I would tell people, retail sucks in general, like I've said a million times. But to your point, yes, man, the people you meet make it worthwhile. Like if it wasn't for, I mean, we still love Yuri. Shout out to you, Yuri. You know what I'm saying? Lifelong friendship from Expo. A few others, the Joes of the world, etc. Muhammad has done an episode of this break room already. You know what I'm saying? Mo, shout out to you, Mo. So yeah, I mean, good people, you meet at the work site because work it becomes your new life. You spend 40 hours at a spot, that is your world for that duration of the week. So and to what you just mentioned, there's definitely something I would suggest, which is dating at the workplace because that can get crazy. You know that, I know that. But otherwise, man, good times, bro. Good times. And I'm glad I met you there, man. I'm glad I met you at the job because back then you had the long hair down to your shoulders, pretty much.
And I'm getting light up top. You can't see it from this angle, but I'm getting light up top.
Brother, I was light then, so you good. You good, bro. You good. Trust me. I wonder where Eduardo is at Rendon, Jersey side. I still talk to a lot of people here and there. Um, but yeah, man, it was good times. I'm glad I met you through it. Um, and I'm thankful for the time. But I will say this though, I I would never suggest working retail to other people because it's just like, man, like I just kind of work sometimes, maybe like the 11 to 8 shift, 12:30 to 9:30 shift. I was like, oh, you need those 2 hour breaks at Hooters. You need to milk the clock a little bit.
No doubt. No doubt. And they don't care. Like they just don't care. They don't appreciate schedules or anything like that. They'll give you any days instead of giving you like consecutive days or something all like
Like
but
back back then, you hate your job, especially back then when you go take a bathroom break for like 20 minutes just to play Tetris on your phone. It's like, yeah, I gotta get the fuck out of this floor. I gotta, what I'm saying? Or if you were like us, some cats had like little mini booths or mini like areas just to like chill out in, lay down, rest your head for a second. And you need those little respites because like, yo, man, customers can be assholes, and this is why now, as a consumer, I know for a fact when I go shopping, which is never online, I mean never in person no more. When I do go in person shopping or browsing, I am so good about how I speak to sales associates. I'm so understanding. I try to like find the product first. If I unfold the clothes by accident, you know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause I know where I was 20 years ago. Like, motherfucker, like, what the asshole? Why'd you put that there? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I remember those days.
yeah, I wish I could say I do the same thing. I don't. I don't. If my wife would be upset if she saw me fold a piece of clothing in a store because I don't do it at home. So there's no way I'm doing it in a store.
That's
So
hilarious.
yeah, no, I let it lie. It is what it is. If I decide I don't want anything and I'm several aisles away from it, it goes right there. That's it.
That's very true. That's very true. And to your point, you get a 2 aisle limit, maybe a 1 aisle limit. If I pass one aisle, it's gonna be hard for me to go back.
It's a half hour limit.
Yeah, half aisle limit.
If I'm 10 feet away, I ain't going back for that mess here. Just dump it there. It doesn't even matter if it's like a frozen section and we're not in the frozen section no more. It's there, bro.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. I mean, yeah, I don't know. What does that say about us as a society? Are we just like lazy? Are we annoyed? I don't know.
Well, I read something that Jeff Bezos said that he didn't like long-term employees. He only wanted to employ people for less than 5 years,
I wonder why.
and or maybe less than that, maybe less than 3 years or something. And his theory was that after a certain time, it we can't help it. We just get lazy, and it's back to caveman time, right? So like we had to conserve energy, right? So whenever you could conserve energy, you would, and that's just in our DNA. And so any long term employee would be conserving energy. So he didn't like long term employees for that reason. Now, there's a lot to say about cost of turnover and things like that, and experience and all that stuff. So it is what it is. But that's an interesting take. But for us, I don't know if it was caveman days or just the fact that we're working, we're going to school, we're doing all these things, and we're not. It's not like now, bro. When it's like right now, it's 11:01 p.m. It's time for bed, bro. We're going all night long
Oh
doing
yeah,
whatever the heck
yeah,
we're
yeah.
doing.
After this,
Going to the diner at like 7 a.m. or whatever.
yeah, man. Good times too, man. Good times. You know, and I don't know how it was for you, but we were ripping and running in our 20s. I want to say once 29 to 34 hit in that age range, I felt it like, oh shit, I'm getting tired. I can't hang like I used to. Like, oh shit, once 36 hit, 37, like, all right, shop's over. Like, I really need to get home at 8 o'clock and then lay down at 9. So, like, now I don't know how it is for you at work, but now I kind of serve as an elder statesman, to young people. That's all young people around me. Yo, save your money, stack your money. Yo, go travel, live your life. Yo, don't open too many credit cards. Don't be just shacking up with any chick that you want to shack up with. Like, same with the women, same thing. Like, don't just trust random dudes at the job or whatever. Just keep your options open, live your life. And I say that because not enough OGs. Shout out to Ron, he was one, but not too many Vito too. But not too many OGs are out there that could give you game. You know what I'm saying? Tell you how to steer. A lot of life you figure out on your own. You know what I'm saying? Um, Even if you got your parents and they give me good advice at times, but there's still a lot I have to learn on my own. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, I should have known that. I should have known better. I should have done this instead. So I try to give back to the youth today, whether I work or otherwise. Like, yo, no, 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 no. Don't do like this, do like that. Trust me, it'll pan itself out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, nah, it is. But there's the combination of stubbornnness and just some people, and they have to experience it themselves. Some people have to feel the pain or make the mistake. They can't be told,
Right,
even
right.
though logically they can hear it. They have to experience it.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes,
so there's something to that. But whatever, the old saying, youth is wasted on the young.
right.
Right? So they don't know what to do with it.
No, you're right. Youth is what's on the young, and I grew up hearing, sometimes you gotta touch the pot to know it's hot. You know what I'm saying, on the stove. One thing I am learning though, as I get older, and let me tell you something, I'm the most progressive cat you could find in the last 30, 40 years. Like, I'm a very progressive, liberal person, just naturally. Not even like also party line shit, just naturally as a person. I've always governed myself to be a liberal progressive. In the 90s, in the 90s when like Ellen was like, tonight on Ellen's show, she's gonna reveal she's gay. I was like, so what? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's normal. Like, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? This is not news to me. You know what I'm saying? But I understand for the world it was. But I will say this: I do understand that phrase. I'm gonna butcher the phrase, but like, you're the person who's young is like liberal minded. There's a way to phrase it. There's a phrase for it. I don't know if you know that phrase, where like when
Right.
you're young, when you're young, you're liberal. When you're old, you get more conservative or whatever. Um, I understand that phrase a lot more lately because this new generation of kids, they're too they're too like progressive. They're too nitpicky about every little thing has to be a cause or a right or you got young folks today who they won't have to think about nothing saying, oh no, this is against my rights, or no, I feel pressured or whatever. Like, they don't want to do nothing. And partially because they've been babied, but I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
This I know I hear what you're saying. It sounds like a great segue to another conversation. But I will say that yeah, I mean now I guess the question is I think it's just so different because you have what's in reality in everyday life, and then you have what's on social media. And because I don't participate in social media,
Good on
as you
you.
know,
Good on you.
I miss a lot of things, right?
Good on
So
you.
probably the truth is somewhere in between. But even that can be uh kind of surprising because some of the things that are out there are just crazy. And I you know I don't we could talk all night about this one, but it's like there's something to do with just we can sports reflects this, right? Sports reflects this. I see a lot. It's like I say this a lot to another friend of mine. It's like, and we could talk about load management. We could talk about examples of like, is there just some type of duty involved? Or is it just like just be a man, just buck up and do it like you're a professional? Like when I was young, they said professionals. The definition is you do whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing, no matter what. Doesn't make a difference how you feel about it. How you feel about it. Ben Simmons, his mental is messed up. He can't play basketball, but he can
Yeah.
cash the checks, right? Well,
Yeah.
let's not get into that.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
But it's just insane. I mean, you're talking about one aspect of it, but I'm just talking about like
Duty.
a whole generation of people that you have no better time than to just sit around and think about these things and not go out and live your lives.
Yo, you're preaching to the choir because duty is definitely something that is lost on society today, especially the young, but in general. Um, Everyone is like, I gotta get mine. I gotta get mine no matter what. And my feelings matter no matter the situation. Yo, I remember growing up, my dad every day religiously at 3 o'clock, 3:30, you know, he had to go pick up my mom from work. And my mom refused to learn how to drive. Came from Haiti to Brooklyn, never learned how to drive in her high school years and adulthood. He always picked her up. She didn't take the cab. She wasn't cabbing it, wasn't bussing it. And I remember like him picking her up every day, and I'd be in the back seat in '90s, like bored, like waiting on her to get out the job because she's taking a long time. And I'm like, why the fuck does he pick up every day? You know what I'm saying? But for him, that was his obligation and his duty. You know what I'm saying? And even if it annoyed him, and I feel like that that spirit of like just doing what you're supposed to be doing what you need to be doing to get shit done, whether it's in sports, wherever, that shit is lost today. It's like I gotta just do me, and then I worry about the rest.
I think it's okay to also have like so there's balance in life, right? So your father picked up your mom, that was his duty. But she had duties too,
Right,
right?
right,
I
right.
mean, whatever it might have been. It doesn't have to be, anything. I mean, like say for example, she cooked dinner and that was her duty, right? But it doesn't have to be the woman cooks dinner, right? It could be the men cooking dinner. But everybody is doing something. They're responsible for this. They're
Yeah.
responsible for X, and it might look different for everyone, right? Some my somebody asked me, one of my wife's relatives said, "Oh, how did your father take care of you when you were a kid?" Or I was like, "My father took care of me? That didn't happen. Uh, My mom would lose her damn mind if my father was alone with me
Right,
because he
right,
wouldn't know what to do."
right.
That just wasn't his duty. But what he did do is he went to work every day. He left before I woke up in the morning. A lot of times he came home after I went to sleep, so I didn't see him during the week. But he didn't complain about it. He just went out and do it. Now sometimes he could be a nasty motherfucker if you run into him like in between. He had his moments, but he didn't complain about what he was doing. What he did was his duty, and that's it. That's what he saw it as, and that's what it is, and that's what it is. How I try to live my life too. People talk about work-life balance or whatever. Somebody was talking to me about that the other day, and I just kind of chuckle, and I'm like, okay, yes, I hear what you're saying, but my balance is that I gotta make sure my job works out for my family because we need it. My wife needs her job too. Don't get me wrong, but I need my job to work out and my career to work out. My wife understands that if someone's gonna blossom in their career out of the two of us, it's gonna be me, and she'd rather have that. That's the understanding that we have, and it's okay if it's the other way around, and it's the wife doing it instead of the father, the husband. That's fine too. It could look either way, but there's a sense of like, no, how could that be? There's gotta be equality everywhere. No, like take it to sports. Josh Hart is grabbing offensive rebounds and doing the dirty work. He's not scoring the points.
Right.
That's Brunson's job.
Right. You're right.
And Brunson's gonna get most of the credit because of that's the nicest looking job. But Thibodeau and other players on the team know that Josh Hart is very important to that team.
And to your point, because Josh is an unsung hero at times for that. I've learned being a husband and being a father. Like sometimes your wins are solid wins, solid contributions, and it's just grunt work that you had to do as a duty to hold it down. I remember Chris Rock had that joke. Tell your mama her hair look good. Tell your mama the food's good. Tell your mama this, whatever. No one tells daddy shit. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is. So I accepted that a long time ago in many facets of my life. Like, you just gotta hold it down, what you're supposed to do, because if not, who the fuck else is gonna do it? And to your point, before we leave, the quote I was thinking about is, if you are not liberal when you are young, you have no heart. And if you are not a conservative when old, you have no brain. And that's how I feel lately. I realized to myself, like, you know what? I'm still passionately the same old liberal at heart and progressive, but I do realize shit, I'm getting old. Because a lot of these folks today, they are super like, leave me alone. I move on feelings, not intentions. I move at my own pace, and I only care about how my world is shaped and rocked. You know what I'm saying? And I can't live like that.
And that's fine. My whole life, I kind of felt like I was personally a conservative. Like the way I live my life, how I am, I'm more of a conservative type person. But when it comes to my politics and how I feel like the world should be, it should be more liberal. To me, conservatism should be just myself. Like it should pertain to me. I shouldn't be pushing that on anyone.
Right, right.
It should be however anyone wants to live their life, that's how they live their life. But to your point, these younger liberals, they want to push what they think is right
On you.
onto you.
Yeah.
And that is a bad thing. And that is how you get the absolute fool that you have in the White House right now. And that's not a political statement. He is a fool. Beyond parting lines,
Yeah.
whatever party you're affiliated with, that man is a fool. I know the fools when I see them, and there you go.
He's a fool, but he was a backlash. A lot of people cut their nose and spark their face by aligning themselves with him because they felt like, well, I'm gonna show you guys up in this culture of what's annoying me right now from you guys. You know what I'm saying? And I'll deal with the repercussions when it happens. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, man. I didn't think we could be as stupid as a nation twice, but here we are. Here we are, man. But on that note, bro, I know it's getting late.
All right,
Any
man.
last words you have? Any parting words you have?
Let's see who. So you named your guy. I'll name my guy. My guy's Jeff Van Gundy. Go get him. He's available. You don't have to give up picks to get him. This dude made the playoffs. I think he coached what like 10 years or something like that, 9 years.
Right.
He missed the playoffs 1 year, and that was when Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady missed like 70 games combined
Yeah.
in Houston. The rest of the time, he's making the playoffs regularly. The rest of the time, he's got top defensive teams.
Right.
So to me, he's the guy that makes the most sense, and so he's my guy. So go get him in that sense. We're talking about value, right? Jason Kidd. If you want to say Jason Kidd's the best guy, fine. You have to give up a first round pick for him. No value there.
Fine. No
You
value
got to
there.
get the guy that gives you the value, and that's what I'm all about. And there's no big mama there. There's no big mama out there to finish the Thanksgiving dinner. To your point, so you got to get the best guy. But I have to think that they had some inkling when they fired this guy. That's the only troubling thing to me. It seemed like it was a knee jerk reaction.
What I would say is you probably had to pick the best name, and he was floated around earlier. I saw some stuff about it, about Van Gundy being a possible person as well. He is probably the best candidate as far as all what you laid out. Outside him, like I said, that go new if you have to with that young guy Johnny Bryant, but that former assistant for the Knicks. But yeah, I like Van Gundy. I like Van Gundy. He's available. All you said, playoff experience wise, he knows the culture of the city, obviously, and he's a pragmatist when it comes to the game of basketball. When you heard him talk as a commentator, I always got where he was coming from. You know what I'm saying? I always understood his point of view of the game. And you usually agree with him. You usually agree with him. I do not need another argument for Mark Jackson. I do not need another argument for some of the other guys. Like, all right, relax, let it go. But yeah, bro. On that note, yo, bro, thanks for joining on the show. I appreciate it. I know you don't do the socials. I know you don't do a lot of this stuff, but I think you did a great job. And once we hang up, just keep the app or the website on because it'll upload your photos. I'll send you the thing later on. But bro, I
All right,
appreciate
man.
it, bro. Be safe out here.
All right, you too, buddy. Later.